This is Komets Corner.
Well, if you turn into the NHL Network last Monday night, you saw this young man suiting up in the ECHL All-Star Classic down in Allen, Texas. Samuel Janssen, the Komets goalie, in goal representing the K's at the ECHL All-Star Classic. I don't know, Shane, did you have a chance to chat with him and about this experience at all over the last week? Because I know it had to be a whirlwind week for him to come back down to Fort Wayne and then start in goal on Friday night at the Indy Fuel.
Yeah, no, we had the All-Star break, so everyone was gone. So the first time I saw the guys was when we hit the bus Friday before we went down to Indy. So no, I really have not had a chance to talk to anybody.
That's true, because it's such a weird week. You don't get to practice. We didn't get a chance to go out and get some of those interviews that we normally get because, you weren't allowed to get back together until Friday morning. So pretty weird, especially with 2 games on the road. Supposed to be 3 games on the road. And I don't imagine, Shane, with the game Sunday at Wheeling being postponed, anybody was too upset about not driving back after 3 straight road games from Wheeling on a Sunday night in the snow.
Oh, it was sad. We were all
tears.
disappointed.
The tears.
The tears were but no, it's we were all kind of happy about it because, hey, 3 games, 3 nights, 3 different cities, that's rough, especially playing, 3 really tough opponents. So, so now you get that game Sunday rescheduled, and who knows? You know what your roster is going to be. You don't know Wheeling's what roster is going to be. You're going to see him here in a week and a half. But no, if you're playing one of the better teams in the league, the back end of a 3-3, it's not a bad thing that game was postponed.
No, and we don't know exactly yet when that game is going to be made up, but it will be made up. Before we get into the highlights, I want to touch on a couple of different things. Number one, the play of Drew Krebs this weekend. Obviously a huge goal in overtime on Friday, and then got another big goal to give you the lead midway through the game on Saturday. Just what have you seen recently from Drew Krebs that's allowed him to be more of an offensive force for the Komets?
Yeah, he was a big signing for the Komets over the summer. Played last year in Greenville, was on an AHL contract, and he was a big get. And, he brings a lot to the table. He's obviously very good defensively. He reminds you a lot of of Darren Brady, who we had last year. And no, he's a guy who can move the puck and be more offensive. And it's great to see him finally racking up some points.
A guy who's been racking up points as well, Austin McGarrah. Even if it isn't goals, he's getting helpers out there. He's really affecting the offense positively on the ice. What have you seen from Austin McGarrah that isn't just the goal scoring and some of those gritty, greasy goals that we talk about, but also in terms of distribution and getting some shots in there that I know Cincinnati's goalie had a little bit of trouble corralling some of those on Saturday.
Yeah, he went 6 straight games with a goal, and actually I thought he scored the game winner in overtime in Indy to make it 7, but apparently Drew came across there and actually tipped it. So I was a little disappointed because if he makes that 7 games, he's now two games away from the Komet record for straight games with a goal. But he picked up an assist, but he's got points in 8 straight games. I think he's got points in 6 straight home games. So he's becoming that guy. We've talked about that guy, who's the guy who you depend on. If you need a goal, you need something to get going, that's your guy. Someone like a Jack Dugan. Now Austin McGarrah has now turned into him.
You said a couple games, 2 games away from the Komets record. Who holds the record? What's the record?
You know what? It's been reached 4 times. The first time was in 1960 by Len Ronson. Barry Scully did it twice in 1981 and then 1983. And the last time a player had goals in 9 straight games was 40 years ago. Randy Gillen did it in 1986. So.
This is the whole reason we have the show, Shane, is so that we can let you encyclopedize all the Komets history that you've been able to soak in over the years. See, this is the good stuff. Well, speaking of the good stuff, let's get right to the highlights from Friday night as the Komets begin the 2-game, essentially now a 2-game road trip, heading down to face the Indy Fuel on Friday night. And the Fuel have had a little bit of luck when they've come up here, but that was not the case when you went down to face the Fuel in Indianapolis this past Friday night. Although, Indy did score first. The Komets eventually pulled this one out. What's the vibe heading into a weekend like this where you're going to be on the road and you want to turn some things around?
Well, what was crazy about this game is that Jalen Schmerich was suspended, and then Harrison Reese still was not back from injury. So
that's your top pairing.
Yeah, so you're right. You're 2 top defensemen short. So Anthony Petrozelli played defense Friday night for the first time ever. He's played it a couple periods here and there, but never started a game of defense. Of course, never played a full game. But Petey did a really good job. I mean, he did what he had to do. It seemed like he, a guy, who's been around hockey, who's played 9 years pro now. You can just kind of fall into a position. You've watched guys play it enough, and that's what Petey did. And he was great. When you have something like that happen where you're missing those two caliber guys, Indy was a good team to play because there's a team that is having trouble scoring goals. So, missing those two defensemen, it hurt, but not as much as it would if you're playing against a Toledo or a team that can really fire them off. So I thought we played great. Sam Janssen was excellent. That was one of his best games I think he's had in a couple of months. So when you're a little shorthanded, you know what, you rely on your goaltender, and Sam Janssen came up with some big stops. And the only goal he gave up was a fluky one. Went off his own defenseman. Went off of Matt Murphy, who had a rough night. But you're going to have those. But yeah, he was just one kind of fluky shot away from having another shutout.
The kind of one that Murph would like to forget.
Yeah.
But when you take a look at forwards playing defense, we saw that with Shaftsma a few years ago.
Yeah, you know what? I brought that up to Petey. He was when I saw the lineup. He was out in the hallway stretch, and I said, "Is this your first time?" He's like, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Hey, if Shavsy can do it, you can do it." He's like, "Yeah, you're right. If Shavsy can do it, I can do it." So,
David Huckalow never did it. It just felt like he was really good at defense.
Yeah. I don't think he ever addressed it at defense, but yeah, no, he was just a really great defensive forward.
Okay, so when the Indy Fuel get on the board first, you see the goal right there, and it, as you mentioned, it deflected off Matt Murphy. What was the vibe for this Komets team? Because we always talk about being able to bounce back, be resilient, bounce back for something when it doesn't go your way, just an unlucky moment. How do the K's rally, and how do they turn things around?
We're a good road team. I mean, that's it. I mean, really. I mean, when you get down on the road for this team, it's not a big deal. I think we got 13, 14 road wins now. So, top in the Central Division, one of the best in the league on the road. So, again, it's a different vibe on the road. You give up one fluky one. At that point, he played really, really well. You gave up a fluky goal, and you knew you were going to get one. So, I mean, this was one of those games where you knew it was going to come down to maybe overtime, one-goal game. I think every game, with the exception of one, has been a one-goal game with these guys, and the road team has won every game. So you had that on your side, and that's what happened. We went into overtime.
All right, so you're going to see it felt like the goal was off the moorings more often than it was on the moorings in this game. But you're going to see in the third period, Matt Capone with his first goal in a Komets uniform. He joined the team about a week and a half ago on that Wednesday night game. Was his first one here. What have you seen from him that you've liked? Because, in seeing him in person in that Wednesday night game, you could tell there was talent, but he was still trying to figure out how to fit in with this team. Do you think he's figured that out at this point?
Yeah, I think he's getting there. He's getting more comfortable, and right there, he had a lane. When all else fails, go to the net, and that's what I think this team really needs, that aggressiveness. When you get the puck, you see the lane, don't tee it up, don't look for the pass, just go to the net and jam it in, and that's exactly what he did. But going back to this game, when it's played 5-on-5, which we were the entire night.
I was going to say zero right?
penalties.
Yeah.
And now we're talking about my encyclopedia here. I had to go to Fiona. And I said, okay, we really need to look at this because my memory, I'm not sure was the last time we had a game where we didn't have a penalty. And I'm like, I'm sure it was in recent history. But as we argued this morning, she goes, no, it was 1989, the last time the Komets had a game where they did not get a penalty.
That is crazy. If anyone's going to dig in the archives, it's going to be Miss Fiona Quinn. But when you take a look at that, I mean, that's truly amazing because I saw it on the stat sheet and I wondered that question myself. Yes. I go, when is the last time? And Indy only had one.
Yes,
this was
crazy.
A clean game.
And that's great. I love it when games are played this 5-on-5. Because you really can see what both teams have because games are won and lost 5-on-5. So I thought it was outstanding. The referees let him go. The only call that was made against Indy was obvious. It was an obvious stripping call, and you got to call that. But it was a physical game. I think both teams wanted the 2 points, and I loved the way actually both teams played. It was a great hockey game.
Yeah, and Janssen was, as you mentioned, was really good in goal, 24 out of 25, and the one that did go in was off Matt Murphy. And when this goes eventually into overtime, man, it didn't take too long for the case. And we've talked with Jesse throughout the course of the season, and his term, and I've said it before on this show, is that the power play specifically is nonlinear.
Yes.
So it has highs, it has lows. There's really not a lot of consistency to what happens because you don't get a chance to practice the scenario of overtime, the way that it's set up in the ECHL regular season. So if you're the Kaiser, you're like, man, our luck is finally turning around when it comes to overtime. 28 seconds in.
Yeah, what's interesting about the 3-on-3s is that it's either going to end in the first minute or it's going to go all the way down to the final minute. I've seen it over the last couple of years. Not so much this year, but teams kind of figured out. It's like, all right, you know what? We're not so good at 3-on-3, but we're really good in the shootout. So we're going to get the puck, and we're just going to dangle it in the neutral zone. We're going to take it back. We're just going to play keep away to get it down to a shootout. So I'm seeing more teams this year being a little bit more aggressive right away, and that's what the Komets did. They finally, they got a turnover there, came right back down the ice, get a shot on goal, and good things happen. So, like I said in the broadcast, finally this works in our favor. We get a goal in the first minute. I think that's the second time we've played Indy down there and had an overtime goal in the first 30 seconds. 3-on-3s are great. I mean, they're very entertaining. I love to call them, but they're also just heartbreaking when you don't even get a chance to get a shot on goal.
Yeah. I imagine the bus ride to Cincinnati was pretty joyous after the game.
Yeah, it always is when you have a win, but you're also like, let's get on the bus and get out of here because it was a quick game. We were in Cincinnati by midnight. And Cincinnati was playing in Bloomington, so they didn't get back until like 3 a.m. So we're like, all right, let's get to the hotel, let's get to bed, let's get a couple extra hours of rest, and we'll be just that much better than Cincy tomorrow.
And it was a 4 a.m. game on Saturday.
It was a 4 p.m.
4 p.m.
would have been awesome.
That would have made for a heck of a weekend. That would have made for a heck of a weekend. But 4 p.m. game, as originally scheduled. That was the original scheduled time, not a weather situation.
I think if it was scheduled for the usual time of 7 o'clock, we might not have had that game because right as we got out of it, a little after 7 o'clock. Again, it was another quick game in Cincinnati, and I think everyone may have been aware of that, even though it was teddy bear toss in Cincinnati. It's like, you know what, we got to get these guys on the road. So everyone expedited getting everything on the bus, and we hit the road right when it just barely started to snow. So we got home safe and sound.
Okay, so we talked a lot about the road. This weekend was about the road. The beginning of the season was about the road. The first 11 on the road. You go 8-3. I want to take a look back because the latest edition of Mission Control, episode number 5, came out this week, and it flashes back to the home opener, November 21st, and it was a great night at the Coliseum against the Bloomington Bison. Here's a look at a latest snippet from Mission Control going back to that home opener.
Good evening and welcome to Fort Wayne Komet Hockey here on 96.3 XKE. Shane Albahrani back with you here on the airwaves, and most importantly, we're back at home. It is what we all live for, opening night of Komet Hockey here at the Coliseum as the Komets coming off that epic 8-3 road trip to take on the Bloomington Bison here tonight in front of a big crowd here at the Coliseum. Now here's Murray looking around. He shoots, he scores! Blake Murray with the first home goal of the season, putting the Komets up 1-0 over the Bison.
Right wing, here's Krebs coming across the line, trying to get it back to Group. In front of that, over one-timer, score! Komets up 2-0. And it's Stefan picking up the goal.
We're a hunt team, right? They're running, right? We've taken a couple swipes at them, knocked them down a couple times, but they're still dangerous right now. They're still dangerous, so we need to keep hunting, right? You don't let them off the hook when we got them right in our grasp right now, right? We're right here, and we're about to grab them by the throat, but right now, it's got to keep going, right? This first 5 minutes here is our opportunity to grab them by the throat and put them down on the ground. That's what this 5 minutes is about. It's about us establishing that we're going for 60. We're going for 60 tonight, okay?
Oh, Grohl's got the puck coming across the line. A shot save made. The rebound is in the back of the nets. Komets score. Let's see who gets this one. Grohl and Grew both in the vicinity. But it's 4-1 Komets. Coming across the line. Hits Albahrani right side. Shoots. He scores into the empty nets. Double A putting the Komets up. Komets win here in the home opener 5-2.
Right, Slice, right? When we play like that, we're hard to beat. They're hard to beat. My only gripe will be like, for me and fellas, we got to learn to play in the third with the lead because we're going to have it a lot. We're going to have the a lot, so we got to learn how to close games. But that's a skill that we have to continue to work at. But I thought we did a lot of really great things tonight. Nathan, I thought you were kicking tonight. Breakouts were really good. I thought we were predictable. Nice job back there in forwards. All the job holding on the puck. All right, so that's
why I do it.
There you go, Jesse Calicky. A little bit of a potty mouth, but that's okay because we're online. We're on Wayne 15 Plus and Wayne.com and YouTube and all those other places where that is the typical norm.
It's not like we've never heard him before.
Shane and I don't, we're not like that. We keep it G-rated at all times. But when you take a look at dating back to that home opener, and we were talking about this off camera, it just feels like there have been long stretches in this season, and it's like we're only in January. It feels like with the strike, now the weather, it just feels like this season, that was years ago.
It feels weird for me because the schedule is kind of choppy. It's like you have a block of road games and we had a block of home games, where for me, I'm used to, a couple games at home, a couple games on the road, and it's a little balanced. So, it's weird that you just have these big chunks where you're on the road and then you're at home.
The thing I remember most about the home opener is I forgot that my youngest daughter's choir was singing the national anthem, and at 7:20, my other daughter texted me and said, "Where are you?"
That's fine parenting, Glenn.
She doesn't know that because I made it from my office to the Coliseum in about 6 minutes, breathlessly running through the loading dock door because I was afraid I was going to miss it, and then I see you announcing the Legends, and I was like, idiot, it's the home opener. You had way much, you saw all this time. And
you should have texted me. It's like, Shane, stall. I'm on the way.
Haley, Lincoln, Schrock. No, yeah, I was sweating it. And then T. Diddy came out and he sang the Canadian national. I had so much time, but that's as frantic as I've been in the last year. Was when I got that text, and I was like, "Where are you?" She's like, "We're in our seats," and I was like, "At the Komets game." Anyway,
that's a great dad moment.
Yeah,
love it.
I was so. The distance between here normally takes about 10 minutes. I made it in 6, so luckily, there were no police on the road that night. But when you take a look at Saturday's game as we get back to game action, obviously feeling good about an overtime win as you go to Cincinnati. And this was, it started out a little bit slow, but an offensive onslaught essentially when you score 6 goals. Love to do it on the road, especially against the Cincinnati team. And, some greasy, gritty, grimy goals as well. Really just a good night of Komets hockey.
Yeah, we got the Teddy Bears out of the way early, which was nice.
How many Teddy Bear games have you played in this year? Feels like you did one in Toledo, you did one in Kalamazoo, right? And now you've done one in Cincy, plus your own. That's like 4.
Yeah,
you're the Teddy Bear guy.
The Teddy Bear, yeah. So I've never done one of these where we threw a shutout, but doesn't matter. You guys still got the win, but it's nice to get it out of the way. So the guys were able to because that's a big pause. That is when you're right in the middle of a game. So it came early, so you were able to kind of just hit the reset button and played very well. We got out to a 4-2 lead. They cut it to 4-3, so you started getting a little nervous. But no, the guys showed up in the third period. We took advantage of power plays. I thought we did really everything right. I think everyone played really well. I think Nathan Day was fighting the puck a little bit. He didn't face very many shots, gave up 3 goals, but the Komets had over 40 shots. And I think when we're in that 40 to 50 range, Komets are 7-0 when they have that kind of shot discrepancy. So everything was working. We took everything we learned on Friday night, and we had Jalen back. So that was a big boost to the blue line work, and everyone was grinding. Blake Murray had 2 goals. It was a big drought for him. Alex Aliardi had 3 points. So, guys are starting to warm up here. It's nice to see. We took a hit last weekend with Lyndon McCollum going to Germany. So we had to regroup, had to reshuffle those lines after we thought we had everything under control there. But it happens. But it was nice to see everybody respond because, again, this lineup was juggled from one night to another.
You saw it a little while ago. Josh Grohl getting his 7th goal of the season. One of the nicest guys to talk to and one of the best, most positive personalities. Nice to see him kind of get his mojo back.
Yeah, I think it was 9 games, I think, that Groller went without scoring a goal. He's a guy who's been injured. He's been kind of in and out of the lineup. He hasn't really been in there consistency since really November. So he's going to play a big role here. He's a guy who's a grinder. He doesn't have much size, but he plays like he's 7 foot tall, and great puck handler. And around the net, he's great. So he's a guy who loves to get those greasy goals, and he's a guy we're gonna lean on here, I think, going down the stretch, especially when you have guys going in and out of the lineup. He's going to be the guy who you're going to look to.
And I just remember last year at the end of the season, he really gave him a shot in the arm when he came onto this team.
Yeah, it's funny how really every team will sign guys coming out of college. Well, we saw Nathan Day. Last year was that, and Josh Grohl. Teams will sign guys out of college, and they have a different gear. They're college kids. They have not played as many games as these guys have played, and they want to impress, and they've got fresher legs, and they really bring that jolt of energy. So I'm looking forward. I always like to look forward to signing a couple guys down the stretch to see what they come up with. Like a team like Toledo, it seems like every year they seem to have one or two guys that really pushes them into the playoffs. And the Komets have had a few, and Josh Grohl was that guy last year. But Nathan Day, Edmonton signed him, right after his junior season had ended, and he really saved the Komets season last year.
Okay, so when you take a look at, obviously it's getting a little scrappy in what we're looking at right now, but really another clean game because Indy only had one power play, and so you're talking about 0 power plays for the opposition. I shouldn't say Indy had. Cincinnati only had 1 power play. Indy had 0 power plays. Like a really clean weekend for a team that was second in penalty minutes in the ECHL Central Division coming in when I'm talking about the Komets.
Yeah, this team 5-on-5. I'll put them up against anybody in the league. Really. You see Toledo. They're the top of the league, top of the Central Division, and the reason why is because they do not take penalties. They have maybe not even 300 penalty minutes this season. Every other team in the league is well over 4. It's crazy. So they win and lose you making mistakes. So if the Komets can stay 5-on-5, they're going to be really successful because I really like the way this team plays 5-on-5.
And you touched on it a little bit, but Blake Murray with 2 goals in this game, what does it mean to get him rolling and get him back to kind of what we've seen him when he's playing at the top of his game?
Yeah, the Komets won the Blake Murray sweepstakes last year.
Yeah.
Every team in the league was interested in Blake Murray at the trade deadline, and the Komets managed to land him, and he was big down the stretch and in the playoffs. So he has been, he started off really hot. He went through a drought, and getting 2 goals in the same night, that's great. And him and Ellie already seem to have a little chemistry going, and it was great to see him, light the lamp twice. And when that happens, a guy who knows how to score, you get in those slumps, but then sometimes you just need 1 or 2, and then they're just going to all start falling.
I was going to say, in baseball, they say hitting is contagious. Yeah. In hockey, it seems like scoring is contagious.
Absolutely. Especially if you get guys on the same line. I think Kirill Tatayev is a guy who's a game changer. I thought with Lyndon McCallum, we finally had a guy who could skate with Kirill and really go stride for stride. And we saw that in the first 2 games they played together. So now we're back to looking for that guy who can skate with Kirill. But he's another game changer who has been great. He came to the Komets late last year, and I think he never really kind of fit in, but now he's being very aggressive. He's very physical. He was a guy who kind of shied away from contact last year, but this year he is really aggressive. He is hitting guys. He's taking the puck away. He's been great defensively, and he's got a wicked shot, and he's another guy who I look forward to here in the second half.
All right, so you mentioned that the Komets always like to add a body or 2, as do these ECHL teams from the college ranks towards the end of the season once their college season is over. And some guys making some history here in the Summit City college-wise is a pretty impressive duo at Indiana Tech. We had a chance to catch up with the Warriors last week. Here is the story on 2 record breaker for the Warriors hockey program.
He's one of those guys that wants to win hockey games, not too worried about the individual accolades. So I think that really sets him apart.
When he's on the ice, Malik Ali floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee. A grad student from Flat Rock, Michigan, just outside Detroit, he's studying cybersecurity, but nothing is safe for Indiana Tech's opponents. With 85 goals and 111 assists, he recently became Tech's all-time leader in career points.
I was working towards it. It's nice to have, but I'm here to win games and then potentially a national championship.
I think Mal has had the ability to really stay healthy a lot of his time here, and he plays the right way.
The past 5 years we've won the conference, and we've gone to the national tournament every the past 4 years too. It's great. Like we're building a dynasty. We are a dynasty currently right now, and it's great to be part of. And I look back and I tell my kids and family members that I was part of this team, and it's going to be great.
Now, Malik isn't the only record setter for this Indiana Tech hockey team. Defenseman Aiden Dufort from Hinsdale, Illinois, recently became the program's all-time leader in points by a defenseman. And hockey isn't the only sport he excels at. He actually competes for the Indiana Tech men's golf team.
Yeah, let's go. How much of an inspiration is Happy Gilmore then?
Yeah, I mean, besides the temper that he has, pretty big inspiration. I love that movie.
Are there similarities?
Yeah, we both can't putt.
But you can drive it.
Oh, yeah.
He actually came in as a forward initially, and we kind of saw his puck skills. He has a really high IQ, so we put him back on the blue line. And, he's just kind of taken it ever since.
You come in as a freshman, you don't really think of things like that. Like sophomore year, you're not thinking about it. Junior year, hey, you're creeping up on it a little bit. And then, like, senior year, you get to, like, maybe 5 points away. Coach will let you know. And then it's like, whatever. It's like, if the team's winning, it doesn't matter to me,
What are the similarities between golf and hockey?
A lot of the hip movement. It's all in the hips. If you've seen Happy Gilmore, it's all in the hips.
First time we've worked in a Chubbs quote.
It is.
Yes.
All in the hips.
All in the hips. But it's good for the Komets, and it's good for the city to have other teams being successful on the ice, whether it's high school teams winning state championships, whether it's the Spacemen, whether it's Indiana Tech, Trine, those teams. Like, it's good for the game of hockey in Fort Wayne and good for the Komets.
Fort Wayne, obviously, I think now, consider the D1 talent out of football. We're probably a football town. Of course, basketball, it's Indiana. But there is so much good hockey talent, either coming out of Fort Wayne or coming to Fort Wayne, not just the Komets, but, you think of Indiana Tech, a lot of those kids aren't from Fort Wayne. Mm-hmm. And the Komets love to have a Fort Wayne native in the lineup. We got Matt Miller, Alex Aliardi, obviously, as well. We have a long list of guys from Fort Wayne who suited up for the Komets, so it's always nice to have a guy from Fort Wayne, but to even have that connection one day of having someone from Indiana Tech would be awesome.
All right. We love having guys in. We don't like it when they leave as much. And you touched on Lyndon McCollum heading over to Germany. This was a bit of a surprise that he left last week. So what was the reaction from the Komets, and what kind of I don't want to be a downer, but what kind of bummer is that?
Yeah.
And how do you go about filling those shoes? Because we like this guy.
Yeah, it's a bummer because, you trade Zach Jordan, a veteran, you're hoping to have Lyndon here for the rest of the way, but it's the way of this league, unfortunately. We just can't compete with European leagues. I talked to Lyndon, and he said, this was nothing I was looking for. I was not, shopping my services. I just got a phone call, and they waved a bunch of money at me. And you know what? We should all be so lucky. At the end of the day, it's a job. You got to take care of your family and do what's best for you. So we're used to it. It wasn't anything. I'm sure the coaches were like, oh boy, here we go. But I know Lyndon is such a good kid. It was all hugs around. It's like, hopefully we'll see you back one day, because he was really happy to be back in Fort Wayne. But again, just it comes down to you got to do what's best for you, and we move on. So we do. So we'll just worry about that come next week.
Yeah, that's the funny thing is, like, you meet and talk to some of these guys, and then if they leave, you're like, oh, I could see that coming. I did not see that coming with him.
Yeah, no, it happens a lot. Again, guys are just, they get offers, and it's just too good to pass up. So, you make more money, you get to see the world, you're not playing as many games. And now since, here we are in January, there's not very many games left over there in Europe. They're going to finish March, and
you get a nice check.
You get a nice check, and you're not playing as many games, not so much wear and tear in the body, and you can get ready for next season. So, you know what? It happens. It's nothing unusual in this league, but again, you move on, and Coach Kalicki, does an excellent job of finding guys to come in, and I'm sure he will. I look forward to what's going to happen this week.
Okay, speaking of this week, you got a game at home on Friday against the Cyclones, 7:35 at the Coliseum. Saturday, Luau night. That was a big success last year. And then Sunday, it's against Tahoe again. So 2 against Tahoe on Saturday and a Sunday. when you take a look at everything going in, we got 15 seconds left. What are you most looking forward to this weekend?
You know, we're going to go on the road Saturday or Friday to take on the Cyclones. This has been a very good road team. And then when you go and play Tahoe, it's really weird to see the difference in play when it comes to each division. The West is a totally different ball game. So seeing them come to the Coliseum, it's going to be really fun to watch them.
That's right. It's at Cincinnati and then home games against Tahoe this weekend. For Shane, I'm Glenn, and that's this week's edition of Komets Corner.